Welcome to this story, a narrative of family deception and unexpected revelations. On a memorable birthday, my younger brother made his appearance, bringing with him his new girlfriend. She projected an image of delicate gentleness. Yet beneath it, I sensed a sharp, calculating intellect. Before I could even fully enter the room, her voice cut through the air, tinged with a subtle, mocking politeness. "I truly admire you, sister," she began. With just a few words, "You managed to make VM, cancel our international trip, and happily return to celebrate your birthday with his aunt and uncle. Unlike some of us, where a girl merely sitting at the dining table is seen as defiling family customs." Calmly, I extended my left hand and swatted her rice bowl directly into the dog crate nearby. "Coincidentally," I responded smoothly, "in my household, even the dogs aren't permitted to eat at the table. My brother and I are fraternal twins, yet our personalities are poles apart. After university, his innate talent for photography quickly elevated him to the status of a renowned photographer in China. I, on the other hand, chose to follow in my father's footsteps, joining the family business. And within 3 short years, I had ascended to the position of vice president, becoming Little President Nguyen, a name recognized throughout the industry. This year, our lunar birthdays coincided with our parents' wedding anniversary. Seizing this rare opportunity, they proposed a warm, intimate family gathering to commemorate such a unique, once-in-a-lifetime moment. Overjoyed, I immediately called my brother. The moment the connection was made, I eagerly shared the news. To my surprise, a long silence followed on the other end before my brother slowly spoke. "Sister, I might not be able to come home for my birthday this year." My heart seized a sharp pang of disbelief. Not coming home? Why not? Had something happened to him? My mind raced, conjuring images of my brother being kidnapped, and I even considered calling the police. Just then, his familiar voice returned. "I have a girlfriend now, and this year I promised to take her abroad to buy a handbag." I took a deep breath. My heart, which had been suspended in midair, now slowed only to be hit by an even greater shock. My brother had been single his entire life, shy since childhood, even blushing when speaking to girls. I had always assumed he'd be alone forever. And now suddenly, he had a girlfriend. But why did they absolutely have to go abroad to buy a bag on his birthday? Couldn't they go a day earlier or later? I turned to my parents, about to ask for their opinion, when a voice soft as a mosquito's buzz wafted from the phone. "It's all right, my love. My husband truly wants to celebrate your first birthday with me, but if your sister insists on you coming home, I understand. It's just, I envy your sister so much. She has her parents, and you who adore her, while I have nothing. This birthday, I suppose I'll just have to buy my favorite bag alone." Each word she uttered was sweet, yet laced with hidden meaning. I couldn't help but frown. My parents' and brother's affection was something I deserved. Her lack of anything had nothing to do with me. Furthermore, when had I become the one insisting my brother come home? I had merely called to inform him. The decision was his, but if she was going to play that card, I would ensure my brother returned. Clearing my throat, I glanced at my bewildered parents, then casually stated, "On the occasion of this birthday, Father intends to transfer company shares as a gift to us. Whether you come home or not is your decision." The other end of the line fell silent for a few seconds, followed by some rustling. A moment later, my brother hesitantly asked, "Can I bring my girlfriend home?" I replied indifferently, "Certainly." Hearing this, my brother immediately brightened. "Great, great. She's beautiful and kind. I'm sure you'll love her." Whether she was beautiful or not, I couldn't say, but her kindness was something I seriously doubted. Could a truly kind woman manipulate others with such words? Before long, our birthday arrived. The party had been meticulously prepared, food laid out on the table for ages, and the entire family was seated waiting. But as time ticked by, there was still no sign of my brother. My mother, restless, paced the living room, arms crossed repeatedly, asking, "Is your brother stuck in traffic? Why don't you call him?" I took a sip of tea, calmly replying, "Perhaps." Just as I finished speaking, the living room door opened, My brother entered accompanied by his girlfriend and a large shopping bag in his hand. He quickly set down his things and eagerly introduced her. Sister, mom, dad, this is my girlfriend, Lee Duyet. Behind my brother, a graceful girl stepped forward, bashful and demure. Her long hair cascaded freely, and she wore a light, knee-length white dress. Her makeup was so natural, it appeared she wore none, making her look precisely like a fragile heroine from a romance novel. Her eyes swept across the house, revealing a fleeting, unreadable glint before finally settling on me. You're VM's older sister, aren't you? She asked, her smile sweet, her voice soft as a breeze. VM always praises how beautiful you are like a fairy. Meeting you today, I see he wasn't exaggerating. But sister, do you really wear such heavy makeup at home? I truly envy you. I never wear makeup, and I don't even know how to. I raised an eyebrow. What was this? Was she indirectly claiming I wore gaudy makeup to look better than her? Honestly, if not for the smudged foundation on her false eyelashes, I might have believed her. Of course, I wouldn't allow myself to be easily underestimated. I feigned surprise, covering my mouth, and spoke gently. Little sister, your contact lenses are beautiful. Where did you buy them? Initially, I merely intended to use the contact lenses as a subtle jab at her meticulously applied eyeshadow, exposing her no makeup lie. But to my surprise, she suddenly lowered her eyes, a look of profound grievance crossing her face, and turned to my brother with an air of fragile vulnerability. My brother immediately wrapped his arm around her waist, his eyes filled with sorrow, and softly explained, once while out collecting folk songs, I encountered danger. Duyet saved me then, and her eye was injured. Later, to avoid affecting its beauty, the doctor advised her to wear contact lenses long term. She sighed softly, placing a hand on her chest, her voice like honey. For you, whether it's my eyes or my life, I'd willingly sacrifice it. After saying this, she shyly lowered her head, but not before subtly glancing at me with a triumphant gleam in her eyes. My brother was so moved, he embraced her tightly, right there in front of the whole family. Then he quickly knelt to untie her shoes, poured her tea and water like a devoted servant. My mother stood by watching this scene, her face instantly paling. I knew that on the day she gave birth to us, she had nearly lost her life. From childhood, she had cherished us, holding us in the palms of her hands. Now, to see her son so subservient to a woman, it was no wonder she almost faltered. But my mother was also one of China's top ophthalmologists. Hearing about an eye injury requiring long-term contact lens wear, she immediately frowned and asked seriously, if the eye is injured, do you need to wear contact lenses? My dear, which quack doctor did you consult? I've been in this field for so many years and have never heard of such a treatment. If you could, would you introduce me to that doctor? My mother's blunt question froze Lee Duyet. She trembled slightly, her eyes immediately welling up, looking no different from a frightened fawn. Then she suddenly broke free from my brother's embrace, quickly turning away. VM, did I say something wrong? Does Auntie dislike me? Perhaps I shouldn't be here. With that, she made as if to walk out the door. My brother frantically pulled her back, holding her close, then turned to my mother, his tone reproachful. Mom, please speak more softly. Duyet is sensitive. You've scared her. Hearing this, I couldn't help but chuckle. This boy who had never been in a relationship had become so infatuated. My mother's voice was always the same. It had never changed. Was this little green tea really pretending? Or was my brother truly oblivious? Seeing my mother's face darken as if she were about to erupt, I gently took her hand, signaling her to be patient. My mother took a deep breath, slowly composed herself, then put on a genial expression and pointed to the two empty chairs at the dining table. All right, stop the dog food show. Come sit down. I glanced at my mother. No one understood a daughter like a mother, and no one understood my mother like me. She knew exactly what I intended to do next. My brother was currently infatuated with Lee Duyet. The more we pressured him to break up, the more he would resist. Using force or harsh words would only make things worse. The only way to make him see clearly was to let him witness her true nature himself. This process might be painful, but the outcome would be for the best. As it was a family gathering, besides our parents, our grandparents were also present. My mother invited my brother and Lee Duyet to sit down, but for a long while, she didn't touch her chopsticks. The atmosphere was unusually quiet. My brother gradually realized something was amiss. His gaze finally left Lee Duyet's face, swept across the dining table, and stopped at the empty main chair. He frowned, unable to help, but asked, "Mom, where are Grandpa and Grandma?" My father snorted angrily. "You remember your grandparents now, do you? They were eager to see you waiting all this time, so they went out to walk the dog." I chuckled softly. My grandparents' dog was a purebred red Tibetan Mastiff, tall and formidable rustic in appearance, but incredibly loyal and lovable. My grandparents cherished it like a treasure. We continued to wait for over half an hour before my grandparents finally returned, followed by the majestic Tibetan Mastiff. As he entered, my grandfather's brow was clearly furrowed. Being kept waiting by the younger generation clearly displeased him, but his eyes then swept over the piles of gift bags on the coffee table, and his mood seemed to lighten somewhat. He spoke in a deep voice. "My daughter-in-law truly raised a good son. He even remembers to bring gifts for his grandparents when he comes home." My brother stiffened slightly awkwardly, explaining, "Grandpa, these are for Duyet Duyet." A moment of silence passed. My grandfather raised an eyebrow and slowly said, "Oh, so what did you buy for your parents and sister? Let us old folks see." Normally, my brother would have eagerly shown off the gifts he'd prepared, but today, he was silent. It was clear he hadn't bought anything. All the money in his pocket had been spent on luxury items for Lee Duyet. What was left for our parents and me? My villa was located in the city's most expensive district. On the way home, they would have certainly passed by luxurious shopping malls. Lee Duyet, who appeared elegant in front of my brother, was actually wearing the latest designer collection. Words could be deceitful, but actions were not. She might try to play the role of a gentle, pure girl, but her true nature was greedy. Given the opportunity, she would absolutely not miss out on draining every last drop from my brother. Otherwise, how could my brother, who had never been late before delay for over 3 hours on such an important family day? Wasn't it because he had to accompany her to various stores to satisfy her shopping desires? My brother lowered his head, his face flushed with shame. At this moment, Lee Duyet subtly chuckled, tugged at my brother's sleeve, and gently said, "Grandpa, don't blame VM. He believes the bond between parents and children is more precious than any gift, which is why he didn't buy any. If Auntie and Sister don't mind, I'd like to offer these gifts to Auntie and Sister VM." Her words were smooth, her demeanor gentle, a perfect display of subtle manipulation. She wanted to play the good person to show generosity, but unfortunately, she forgot that older people often dislike those who are too quick-witted. The moment her words finished, my grandfather slammed his hand on the table and roared, "Where did this outsider come from? This is our family's business. It's not your place to speak." My grandfather's furious yell instantly turned Lee Duyet's face pale. Our entire family, except for my brother, shared one common trait: a severe aversion to green tea personalities. Especially my grandfather, who could not tolerate anyone with a deliberately soft, sugary voice in front of him. Coincidentally, Lee Duyet had both a soft voice and was a genuine green tea. My brother, who feared my grandfather the most in the family, now clutched Lee Duyet tightly, not daring to breathe, his voice cautious, like walking on thin ice. "Grandpa, she's my girlfriend." My grandmother, although also displeased with Lee Duyet, out of respect for my brother, waved her hand and told her to sit down and eat. I originally thought the meal might pass peacefully, but unexpectedly an incident occurred. Lee Duyet sat next to my brother opposite me. As the maid served dinner, she suddenly spoke in a soft but subtly biting tone. I truly envy you, sister. With just a few words, you could make VM cancel his international trip with me and even happily stay to celebrate your birthday. Unlike us girls, who are considered to defile family customs just by sitting at the dining table. Oh, was she intentionally trying to embarrass me? I didn't want to argue, but if she was going to provoke me, how could I sit idly by? I stood up, walked directly behind her, and under the astonished gazes of everyone, I picked up her rice bowl and threw it straight into the dog crate of Nam Jo, who stood near the door. It's just that in my house, I said blandly, dogs don't eat at the table. Do you want to go down there and eat with him? Nam Jo wagged its tail, picking up the bowl circling my feet, its face beaming. Lee Duyet's face flushed crimson. I didn't mean that. My brother quickly intervened. Sister Duyet was just joking. Why are you taking it so seriously? I merely glanced at him, not bothering to reply, then calmly returned to my seat. Honestly, I couldn't understand what my brother saw in her. In terms of looks, she wasn't exceptionally beautiful, yet she could make my brother so infatuated. The quiet atmosphere lasted a moment, then Lee Duyet continued her antics. As I focused on the hairy crabs on my plate, she elbowed my brother. I briefly glanced over and saw my brother looking agitated, his face tense. I chuckled faintly and slowly said, "Brother, do you have lice? Why are you shaking so much?" As soon as I finished speaking, my brother jolted, almost leaping from his chair. Lee Duyet, beside him, still sat upright, a glimmer of expectation in her eyes. My brother swallowed hard, hesitated for a moment, then stammered, "Father, did you really intend to give me the share transfer documents as a birthday gift? That, I was just asking, I didn't mean anything else." Humph, didn't mean anything else. I cast a glance at Lee Duyet, understanding clearly in my heart that if someone hadn't instigated him, how could my brother suddenly ask about this at such a sensitive moment? My father slowly set down his chopsticks and said in a deep voice, "Considering that in the future, your sister will take over my position, your mother and I have discussed it and decided to divide 30% of my shares into two parts, 16% for your sister, so that when she becomes chairman, she will have absolute control in the board of directors. The remaining 14% will be for you, plus your initial dividends. By the end of the year, the dividends will automatically be transferred to your bank card. This is reasonable." The dining table fell silent. My brother probably understood that this was not a small sum, so he remained quiet. But Lee Duyet was different. She widened her eyes, looked at me, and then gave a meaningful smile. "Wow, sister, you're so amazing. You don't have to do anything. And you get 16% of the Nguyen Group's shares. I'm truly happy for you." I raised an eyebrow, but she continued, "I wonder if sister has a boyfriend yet. If not, are you planning to never marry? If you marry in the future, it will be like becoming part of another family. Right? Uncle has worked hard for so many years to build this group. If you marry later, won't these shares become your dowry and eventually the property of someone else's family?" She didn't continue, but everyone understood what she was implying. Her words were not only sowing discord, but also trying to use a few sentences to divide my family internally. How ridiculous! Someone who was merely a temporary girlfriend dared to come into my house and dictate terms. I hadn't even had a chance to speak when my mother slammed her chopsticks onto the table, her face cold. Truly an eye-opener. Little girl, the Qing dynasty fell how many years ago, and you still harbor the notion that a daughter marrying is like spilled water. Ignorance is nothing to be ashamed of, but don't spread false doctrines. If you have free time, read more law books to understand what independent individuals and premarital property are. Being foolish is acceptable, but at least try to improve your intellect. If needed, I'm willing to buy you half a dozen walnuts. Under our roof, where family affection should take precedence, my mother did not hesitate to speak directly each word, a sharp stab at Lee Duyet's hypocrisy. Lee Duyet was stunned by the sudden outburst, only clinging to my brother's hand as if seeking refuge. VM, you understand me, don't you? I didn't mean anything bad. I was just expressing my opinion. After all, you're the only son in the family. Shouldn't inheriting the family business naturally belong to you? I was only thinking about your best interests. But why is Auntie saying such harsh things to me? My brother hugged her tighter, his eyes filled with sorrow. I understand. Do yet. It's just because you love me too much. His eyes reddened, brimming with accusation. Mom, that's enough. Why do you keep targeting do yet again and again? From the moment she walked in, you didn't welcome her. And it's the same now. Can you please stop judging her based on your own thoughts? Do yet is simple-minded and can't handle such harsh words. Stop talking. Simple-minded. I thought the truly simple-minded person was my brother. From the moment she entered, Lee Duyet had acted as if she were the lady of the house, while my parents, my grandparents, and I were mere outsiders. And that was simple-minded. Those cunning words were a lack of character. Her calculations to exploit my brother were wicked. Her ambition for our family's assets was even more audacious. Did she truly think that loving my brother meant she could claim all our family's property for herself? My grandmother chuckled. Little VM, your grandma, has lived this many years. My eyes are still sharp. You are young and cannot see through her, but I can. Young lady, I advise you, if you want to find a fool to exploit, go elsewhere. Our family values women over men, and the family business will belong to your sister. If you follow little VM, he won't be involved in the business, but money will still flow into his pockets. So why do you care whose hands the shares fall into? My father gripped my mother's hand tightly, his eyes sharp. What if she's a woman? Women can hold up half the sky too. My wife is outstanding, and my daughter is also excellent. No matter how many men this family has, I'm not worried about our assets falling into outsiders' hands. Hearing this, Lee Duyet's expression completely changed. She no longer feigned vulnerability, but turned aggressive. How can you do that, Uncle? VM is your biological son, the only man in the Nguyen family. My father replied indifferently, so what if he's my son? My family doesn't have a throne to pass down. Everything I've built, I have the right to decide, even if I give all the shares to my daughter. It's nobody else's business. If he's a man with hands and feet and wants assets, why doesn't he earn them himself instead of relying on family distribution? At this point, even my grandfather spoke up, and the back and forth left Lee Duyet unable to retort. Finally, in a fit of anger, she rushed out crying as she ran. My brother frantically chased after her. At the door, she buried her face in his chest, her voice choked with sobs. VM, I thought as long as we loved each other, we could overcome all difficulties. But I never imagined your family would treat me this way. If that's the case, let's break up. I know my status is low, not worthy of you, but I love you too much. I can't bear to lose you. This was a clear case of retreating one step to advance two. And sure enough, my brother was immediately swayed. He gently wiped her tears, kissed her forehead lightly. Silly girl, I love you too. I will never break up with you. Then he turned to face us, his expression resolute. Mom, dad, grandpa, grandma, sister. I know you all think do yet is only with me for the money. But Mom, don't you think prejudice can kill a person? From today onwards, I will start my own business. I will prove that do yet loves me for who I am, not for this family's money. Lee Duyet momentarily froze, then anxiously spoke. VM, you don't have to argue with your family for me. Quickly apologize. For you, everything is worth it, he insisted. Immediately after, he took her hand and walked away. My father was so enraged that he picked up the ashtray and hurled it. Stupid boy, throwing away your family for a woman. If you go, don't ever come back. I quickly hugged my father, fearing he might act rashly in his anger. Don't be angry, father. If he wants to go, let him. My brother didn't look back, simply leaving the house. Before she left, Lee Duye cast a fierce, hateful glare at me, as if she wanted to devour me whole. I merely smiled faintly. My brother's mind had truly been clouded by love. This wouldn't do. Perhaps he needed a strong dose of reality to wake him up. After my brother uttered those harsh words and departed, my father, furious, immediately froze all his bank accounts. Then he and my mother went on an overseas trip as if to completely cut ties with him. But my brother was stubborn. In the photography industry, work was already unstable, yet he harbored dreams of starting his own company, pouring all his money into that dream. In the end, he was left with nothing but empty hands. Even so, he never said a word to me. His savings had long run dry, yet Lee Duye relentlessly clung to him, constantly demanding money. When he had nothing left to give, before long, he was seen on construction sites carrying bricks to earn a living. Sitting in my office, I quietly looked at the photos sent by the private investigator. Images of my brother, who had once been pampered in luxury, now wore stained clothes, his hands calloused from hard labor. My assistant, Dieu Fifi, saw my expression and couldn't help but speak. Didn't you just want your brother to see her true colors? This is easy. My eyes gleamed. I want to hear the details. Dieu Fifi pointed out that someone like Lee Duye would never have just one target. She must have cast her net widely, not possibly limiting herself to my brother. Instead of waiting for him to awaken, the fastest way was to find a breakthrough from Lee Duye herself. I suddenly saw the light and immediately ordered the private investigator to investigate her. A few days later, I personally went to the construction site to find my brother armed with undeniable evidence. At noon, under the scorching sun, my brother squatted among a group of workers, hastily eating a simple packed lunch. His once healthy, wheat-colored skin was now sunburned and dark, his body covered in bruises from heavy labor. I intended to pull him up, but he looked up and met my gaze. In that instant, he turned away, avoiding my eyes. "Sister, why are you here?" My heart ached, a knot forming in my throat. "If I didn't come, would you expect me to just stand by and watch you suffer here?" He forced a strained smile, trying to appear optimistic. "Manual labor is fine, sister. Look, I've even built some muscle." My hands trembled. Built muscle. If you want to build muscle, you can go to the gym. Why torture yourself like this, all for one woman? He frowned, displeased. "You don't understand, sister. Duye is worth it. For her, I'm willing to do anything. If you're here to force me to break up, then please leave." I let out a bitter, mocking laugh. "You naive boy. You think she's unique, but does she even think anything of you? Open your eyes and see how much you're being exploited. Father is a shrewd businessman. Mother is a renowned doctor, and yet they raised a child with only straw in his head. What are your two eyes for just to blink? A few sweet words from someone and you're beaming. You're willing to sacrifice everything for her. You truly are the most foolish person in this world." My mother and I shared a similar temperament. We were used to scolding others since childhood, but it had been a long time since I'd scolded my brother. Yet standing before him now, I couldn't help but shout. Provoked by my scolding, his voice also rose 3 octaves. "Sister, no matter what Duye is like, she loves me sincerely. Do you have to be so cruel?" I took several deep breaths, restraining myself from delivering another slap. "Yes, I am cruel. Because she ate your food, you spent your money, took your money to go to clubs and find escorts, took the necklace you gave her, and slept with an old man, old enough to be your uncle. Meanwhile, you're skinny pale and foolishly exhausting yourself to support a traitor." With that, I threw a stack of photos at his face. He froze, picking up a few to look at his eyes filled with confusion and denial. "No, no way, you're lying. Duye is innocent. She swore that in this life, she would only love me. How could she betray me? This must be photoshopped. You're truly vicious doing something like this just to make me break up." He screamed, his eyes red-rimmed, his hands gripping my shoulders, shaking me violently. For the first time in my life, I was utterly disappointed. After over 20 years of kinship now, Because of a woman he had known for less than a year, he was turning on me. Before, when Lee Duye smiled at me, he didn't understand. Now, when I told him the truth, he thought I had ill intentions. Did he truly not understand me at all? Unable to bear it any longer, I swung my hand and slapped him across the face. Then I turned on my phone, played the video, and shoved it in front of his eyes. Open your eyes and look. See if your innocent angel is truly innocent or not. On the screen, urgent sounds played clearly, and the voice was none other than Lee Duyet's. My brother stumbled backward, then collapsed, clutching his legs and weeping uncontrollably. That afternoon, my brother and I went to the rented apartment he was staying in to pack his belongings. Unexpectedly, we ran into Lee Duyet. She was struggling to carry a pile of large and small bags. The moment she saw me, she paused for a second, then quickly put her things down, grabbed my brother's arm, and looked at me with a triumphant gaze. Didn't you yourself kick VM out of the Nguyen family home? And now you can't stand it and have to come looking for him? You should have understood this sooner. You should also know that no family can exist without men, and a woman like you is not qualified to inherit property. If you've come here to beg VM to come back perhaps tomorrow, you can also transfer the shares in your name to him. Lee Duyet spoke with soaring confidence, completely oblivious to my brother's increasingly darkening face. After all, he was the only son in the family. Though he usually seemed foolish and easily swayed when angry, he was even more terrifying than my father. He lunged into a fierce argument with Lee Duyet, then threw the scandalous photos at her. Lee Duyet's eyes welled up with tears, her voice filled with grievance. VM, I know I was wrong, but you're not innocent either. You're the eldest son of the Nguyen family, and I'm just an ordinary person. You made me constantly insecure. I only sought a little comfort from others. They're nothing. The one I truly love is only you. If you love me, you must love everything that belongs to me. As soon as she finished, my brother gave a cold, sarcastic laugh. Love you so you can plant a whole green field on my head. Or love you because you tricked me like a fool. It's truly bad luck that I let you step foot in my house. Seeing that she couldn't turn the tables, Lee Duye quickly played the emotional card. But have you forgotten that time you had an accident? While taking photos, I saved you and took you to the hospital. Because of that, my eye was even injured. My brother laughed coldly, emotionlessly. You still dared to bring that up. We've been together for less than a year, and I've already spent nearly 10 billion on you. Consider that debt paid. With that, he pulled me away, not bothering to look back. I sighed in relief. Finally, my brother had come to his senses and found his way home. My family had never opposed his relationships, but from the beginning, we had not accepted Lee Duyet. Not because of her ordinary background, nor because she was unattractive or uneducated, but because her character was dishonest, unworthy of my brother. My brother was not inherently foolish, but when in love, he was no different from a naive child. To put it nicely, he was the kind of person who loved wholeheartedly. But to put it bluntly, he was nothing short of a blindly infatuated fool. He was always serious in his relationships, always wholeheartedly trusting the one he loved. This was rare among men today, but all of this only mattered if he met the right person. My brother locked himself in his room, crying for 2 days straight, grieving the shattered relationship with a betrayer. When my parents heard the news, they were overjoyed, immediately booking cross-country flights from abroad just to open champagne and celebrate. This act was nothing short of rubbing salt into my brother's wound, making him cry even more profusely. A few days later, as I was in my office, signing contracts, Diu Fi suddenly pushed the door open, phone in hand, her face tense. President Nguyen, there's big news. I looked up and calmly asked, did the company's stock plummet? No, it's about Mr. Nguyen. I sighed, leaning back in my chair. Did he get tricked by a woman again? She raised an eyebrow. Precisely. She then held up her phone, opened the hot search, and placed it in front of me. I looked down, And as expected, my brother was trending again. Young Master Nguyen. Young Master Nguyen VM made his girlfriend pregnant but denied responsibility. Lee Duyet, I'm not worthy of him. I randomly clicked on an article. Immediately, Lee Duyet's pitiful face filled the screen. She claimed, I'm just an ordinary person, never dared to dream of love with a wealthy young master. The first time I met him, I thought he was just an ordinary guy traveling. Throughout our time together, I never spent a penny of his. He was the one who pursued me. I loved him with all my heart, but in the end, he just treated me like a game. Perhaps it's because his family always looked down on me. On his parents' wedding anniversary, I only sent my blessings, but they bluntly chased me away, even insulting me, saying someone like me only deserved to eat with the dogs in their house. My dear child, even if your father doesn't want you, just having your mother is enough. Your father is a good man. It's just a pity that your mother wasn't good enough to keep him not worthy of him. I scrolled down to the comments, and as expected, they were full of insults aimed at my brother. Today, I finally understand that wealthy people who appear glamorous on the outside are so filthy on the inside. A man who plays with emotions gets someone pregnant, then denies responsibility. What's the difference between him and a rotten fish? Having money means you can do whatever you want. Who gave you the right to treat women like toys? Men truly think with their lower half. Thank you for strengthening my resolve to stay single forever. Am I the only one who feels sorry for the baby in her womb? Reading this, I was so angry I almost smashed my phone. This wretched green tea. She was the one who initially toyed with my brother's emotions, and now she was turning around and biting him hard. Did she truly think I was a soft persimmon that she could squeeze however she wanted? I took a deep breath, composed myself, then ordered my brother to go to the bank to get his account statements and all transaction history. At the same time, I told the legal department to draft a lawyer's letter demanding Lee Duye return all the money she had received within 1 week, or we would sue. Additionally, I ordered them to track down those behind the rumors defaming the Nguyen family, and my brother then filed lawsuits against all of them. Less than a minute later, my brother's call came in his voice, hoarse with agitation. Sister, that baby isn't mine. I've never even touched her. I smirked coldly. I believe you. Just let me handle it. The next day, the legal department sent warning letters to Lee Duyet and the bloggers spreading false rumors. Simultaneously, I also posted an article on my personal Weibo. In the post, I detailed every expense my brother had made for Lee Duyet throughout their relationship, from luxury shopping receipts to hundreds of transfers totaling over 100,000 yuan. And of course, I attached surveillance video footage, recording her despicable conversation in my house that day. Unfortunately for her, my living room not only had high-definition cameras, but also a 360-degree audio recording system. I started a live broadcast, facing the screen, my voice cold as ice. Lee Duyet, do you think a few tears and some pitiful videos can turn black into white? I'm sorry I don't have the habit of tolerating green tea types like you. I remember you once said you don't wear makeup and didn't spend a single penny of my brother's money. So the branded cosmetics my brother bought you, did you keep them as souvenirs? Or are you waiting for them to expire to offer them as sacrifices? Furthermore, our family has never looked down on ordinary people. We only look down on people like you. My family's dog at least knows loyalty, but you only cause trouble when you come to my house. When did you become qualified to covet the Nguyen family's assets? And as for the baby in your womb, that's truly the biggest joke of the year. During this period, how many men did you enter hotels with? According to my information, at least 7 or 8. If you want to expose yourself, I don't mind telling everything. I just wonder if you'll be ashamed. The broadcast ended and public opinion immediately reversed. Comments flooded in supporting my brother. I never imagined young Master Nguyen would be so faithful and innocent. How tragic. I said from the beginning, This green tea is not simple, but no one believed me. Sister, does your family need a sister-in-law? But I'm a boy, is that okay? Sister, is your brother's brain okay? I'm studying neurology. Send him to me for a free checkup. Consider it just bad luck. Not long after, Lee Duye deleted all related videos and disappeared from public view. Much later, I learned that since breaking up with my brother, her life had spiraled downwards. Initially, she had planned to exploit the scandal to live stream, build her social media reputation, and then sell products online. If she was lucky, she might even enter the entertainment industry as an actress. But she never expected to run into me, an opponent not to be trifled with. Not to mention, she was also sued in court. Not only did her plan for fame fail miserably, but her social media accounts on multiple platforms were also banned. More than half of the money and luxury items my brother had given her were ordered by the court to be returned. Because when he transferred the money, he didn't specify the purpose. Furthermore, with a lazy older brother and a controlling mother, the meager remaining funds quickly ran out. With no other option, she was forced to abort the child in her womb and rely on her frail appearance and deceptive tactics to seek new relationships. Later, I heard she had seduced a wealthy boss, but it turned out he was just a con artist. Not only was she not loved, but he also exploited her opening over a dozen credit cards and withdrawing billions, then ultimately fleeing with his wife, leaving her with an enormous debt she couldn't repay. She sought out my brother, begging for help, but only received a cold reception. My brother bluntly called security to have her removed. With a family that always exploited her and a heavy debt crushing her, she had no other choice but to sell her body to earn a living. Not long after her health deteriorated rapidly, her body covered in pockmarks, and she developed heart disease. Indeed, what you sow is what you reap. If she hadn't been so scheming, then perhaps she could have become the Nguyen family's daughter-in-law, enjoying a prosperous and luxurious life. Meanwhile, my brother happily picked up his camera, vowing to photograph all the most beautiful rivers and mountains of our homeland. By the Mid-Autumn Festival, he returned from afar, carrying a pile of souvenirs to my office. Just then, Dio Fifi also pushed the door open. "Oh, Mr. Nguyen, it's you." My brother froze. "You know me." Dio Fifi smiled, pouring him a cup of tea. "Do you remember the last time you went to Mount Pham Son? When it rained, you gave me your umbrella." Only then did my brother realize. It was you. No wonder I felt like I knew you. But why didn't I see you after that? Dio Fifi chuckled softly. That day, there was a flash flood. You were hit by debris and knocked unconscious. After the rescue team took you away, I discovered I had also broken my leg and suffered an eye injury. It took me 3 months to recover. By the time I tried to find out about you, no one in the group was still in contact with you. Hearing this, my brother suddenly fell silent. Clenching his hands, his eyes filled with emotion. As for me, I slowly took a sip of tea, looking at my foolish brother, sighing inwardly. So he had mistaken his rescuer inadvertently, allowing Li Duye to exploit him all this time. After my brother went downstairs to buy drinks, I took Diu Fifi's hand and asked seriously, "Honestly, do you have feelings for my brother?" A blush immediately spread to Diu Fifi's ears. She bit her lips slightly, then softly admitted, "President Nguyen, actually. I came to work as your assistant solely because of Mr. Nguyen. I fell in love with him at first sight." I was surprised. "Then why didn't you pursue him earlier?" That year, I intended to confess after recovering, but he already had a girlfriend. I didn't want to be a third party, so I just quietly observed from afar. I came to the company to have a chance to be closer to him, but only after starting work did I realize he never came to the office. So there was no opportunity to meet. Later, when things happened between him and Li Duye, I felt I should give him time to forget the past, so I still haven't expressed my feelings. I looked at her, and a strange feeling arose within me. After many years by my side, Dio Fi had always worked diligently with a cautious attitude and excellent interpersonal skills. She was principled and persistent. A girl like her was truly worthy of my brother. I leaned back in my chair, arms crossed the corners of my lips, curving upwards. My brother is simple, easily deceived. Just holding hands makes his face blush. Work hard, I want to hold a grandchild in 3 years. Dieu Fifi immediately blushed, covering her face with both hands. Yet she couldn't help but secretly glance towards my brother's figure downstairs. She bit her lip, determined. All right, I will definitely do it. Seeing her shy demeanor, I couldn't help but chuckle inwardly. My brother, that poor little white rabbit, had just escaped the wolf's den and now found himself in the tiger's den. It seemed his life was about to enter a new chapter. Thank you for listening. If you found this story engaging, please like and subscribe to support us.